16th, 2025. Stephanie, will you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Fisher?
Here.
Mr. Hatch?
Here.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going into the report of the school committee chair, I just want to take a moment of silence for young Saugus alumnus who recently passed away, Cole Moment. So if we could just please take a moment of silence. Thank you. As we prepare to get into the proposed budget tonight, I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions. Just one thing I just asked, don't bring up specific circumstances or names. It just protects everyone involved. So if we can answer, we'll answer it for you. If we won't, if we can't answer it, we'll get an answer for you one way or another. This isn't Festivus. This isn't the airing of grievances. So just, bring your questions and we'll answer your questions the best we can. So,
Keep it down back there, please.
yeah. What you'll be presented tonight is our operating budget. So I like to explain this just because it's easy. This is by no means our total budget. We have what is referred to as a Schedule 19, which includes benefits, insurance, and a bunch of other things that isn't covered by the town but is school-related. This is somewhere in the neighborhood, I think, 29 million. I'm not sure, but and just so you know, the budget that's presented here tonight is not the final budget. We have to go through the process. I know there are a lot of needs and there's a lot of things people would like to see in the budget. However, we have limited resources, we have limited funds. Obviously, people want a lot of things. We'll listen to suggestions and any solutions people have. But understand at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to the students of Saugus and the taxpayers. So at the end of the day, we have to do what's right by both. Obviously, students are the most important, and that's where our allegiance lies, but we have to be fiscally responsible as well. And we just need to separate the wants from the needs, right? There's a lot of wants, but the most important things are the needs. And as always, I want to thank the town manager, FinCom, town meeting. Town meeting gave us $500,000 out of the student stabilization fund, which was a worthwhile endeavor. We're going to bring it back again. So for the town meeting members here, like Mr. Federico, I'd like to thank you guys for that and working with us through the whole budget process. I really want to take a big thanks to Miss Andrews for her work and the administration, the clerks, the administrators, and everyone who worked tirelessly on putting these books together because it takes a lot of time and it's an eye chart. So. And lastly, we will have budget books available for anyone who would like one here in the admin building. And as always, we'll make sure the town meeting members get one or two just so they have the budget to look at. So if there's any questions. Lastly, I want to send congratulations out to Max LaRusso for his 100th win in wrestling and Peyton DiBiase for scoring 1,000 points. We had her in here. She was a couple points short. She did that, so.
No, she actually, when she came in, she actually had reached 1,000 points. What she did since then, she came in, she became the all-time leading scorer in girls' basketball history in Saugus High School.
Okay.
As a junior, yeah.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
So, and we'll move on to the report of the superintendent.
All right, my report is the budget hearing, so I'll just hit the highlights a little bit more. You had a chance to look it over. I shared with the committee and the staff, I shared in my weekly email, the presentation that I went over last week. Ultimately, what you have in front of you is the superintendent proposed budget for FY '26. The grand total of the operating budget is $36,242,973. That's the grand total of the budget that you see there. It is $2.474438 million higher than last year's budget. And I went through the tiers as to why there was that increase. We are asking for a couple of positions. We are asking for curriculum resources that were currently grant funded to be put in there. And a lot of the other items are fixed cost increases. So if you have any questions, I'll do the best I can. I brought my executive directors to hear if the questions relate more to their specialty areas as well. So if there's anything you have a question on, specifically or in general, please feel free.
Yeah, so I think we do have a lot of questions here. Obviously, I think the first thing I'd like to say is when you look at our budget, 77.17% is salaries, benefits, and contractual obligations. So that's a large part of our budget. And that, with special ed, makes up 88% of our budget, a little more than 88% of our budget. So I just want people to understand that. My first question is, looking at the FY '23 original budget, it just.
FY '23, okay.
FY '23, which
Yeah.
is the one for, I just want the enrollment, I'd like to see the enrollment numbers.
Yep, I can give you the enrollment numbers right now.
Okay.
Here are the enrollment numbers since you asked.
Okay.
You took my copy, so,
Would've been nice to have a copy for all of
I'm
us.
sorry, I didn't know if he was gonna ask that question.
Copies over there.
No, I appreciate that. It's just because,
Would you like copies for the whole board?
yeah, if we could all get copies,
Where's Tom DeMario?
yeah. Just because it does help in the
Yep.
it does help with the FTEs, when you look at the FTEs, that,
Since FY '23, we're up 350, 300 and, around that, 80 students.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the other question, and then I'll turn it over to the rest of the committee, is for Mrs. Trainer. And I don't think you'd have this. I'm more curious about the FY '23, if we have a number of how many kids were on IEPs or 504s back then compared to today. If you could just let me know.
That might be on that list as well. Sorry.
Okay.
I think there's I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think on the list she had, what I did was I went by, if you look at the chart, and you'll see it in a second when Diane gets back, but it's by grade, and then the special categories are on the other side.
Okay.
So I think I included students on IEPs, students on 504s, and I believe I also included English language learners on there as well.
Okay, no, that's perfect. And my reason for that is I just want to kind of put this budget into perspective
Yeah,
as
no, absolutely.
where we've been and what we have now as far as, obviously, I hate this term, but obviously COVID changed learning a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it reflects it in the budget. So that was all I had. I will turn it over to,
And Mr. Serino, just so you know, because I have the FY '23 compared to the FY '25, which would have been and you're going to get the sheets in a second, because I did have a second copy. So the current fiscal year, the ELL students went from 242 district-wide to 596. Students on 504s went from 71 to 221, and the IEPs were 336 to 485.
okay. So, yeah, that puts a lot of things in perspective from you.
Yeah.
And the overall student population, you're all gonna get hard copies of this. In FY '23, it was 2,462. In FY '24, it was 2,610. In October of '24, just this past October, it was 2,770. And as of last week, it was 2,804.
Yeah, and my concern with that, and I'll let you know why, is with this new law that's coming into place in February, where you can double up and stuff like that. I just have a concern with the enrollment exploding a little bit more, so, well, thank you.
Yeah, I don't really have many questions. I do have questions, but the budget itself, believe it or not, I don't really have a problem with. I know I had a problem with it last year, but you're only asking for 4 spots. And we're trying to absorb other spots that we are coming off the grants. I don't see a lot of, as Mr. Serino said, our population has grown quite a bit, and it continues to grow every day. And we have a lot of kids coming through that don't speak English, and the state makes us put them in gen ed classes. And now you get the teachers trying to teach the kid not only English, and then teach them what's going on in the classroom, but it takes away from the other kids in the class. So what are we doing to combat that?
We do actually, last year we did add ELL staff, and this year, and it's in the, let me see what page it's on. It's on the third page, after my letter. Under the kind of the fixed costs, we have 2 additional ELL teachers that are in the emergency assistant grant right now that are coming back to the LEA, so they're in there as well.
I know we talked about enrichment program where we have a student and 1 parent take the enrichment, from our student fund there that we have.
And that's certainly something we can
educational
offer
fund.
moving forward, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it would help the teachers, it would help the students, it's like I said, having 1 or 2 kids that can't speak English in your class, what is the teacher supposed to do? It makes it really difficult for the teacher, it makes it difficult for the kids. So it's up to us to figure out how to do it. So I think that the enrichment programs would really help if we could do some English programs for not only, like I said, not only the student, but 1 parent, so the parent can communicate with the school, communicate with the teachers, communicate with everybody. Not just that, okay, so we talk about the salaries being 77.17%.
Yes.
I don't know if something's wrong with my mic or what.
Could
I'm
be
gonna
me.
stand back a little bit. So it's hard to get what you want as far as adding bodies with 77% of your salary, of your money going to salaries. And I'm not saying people shouldn't get paid, don't get me wrong. But what I am saying is we gotta kind of follow the mold of the way the school, the town was. We go back 10 or 15 years, before Mr. Crabtree got here, we didn't have a library, it was closed. We didn't have the fire station, the Essex Street Fire Station, it was closed.
Correct.
People were getting laid off. We didn't have any money in town. He came to town with a plan, and the plan was to reinvest into the people, into the environment, And here we are, a few years later, and we're thriving money-wise. We have all these buildings open, and we have more staff than we've ever had. So the schools kind of parallel that. I mean, we've been in dire straits for a while, as far as money goes. We're always begging for this, begging for that, and we just, no matter what we do, we don't add enough. So I think that, again, there's gonna be a lot of tough decisions made, but we need to start reinvesting in education, reinvesting in the kids. And by that, I mean, we have our curriculum in place now, and we've been a couple of years working on it.
Yep.
But we need to keep that curriculum going.
Correct.
And to do it, we have to roll with the punches as far as we have more people coming into the district. We need more bodies in front of those people. So we have to reinvest in that. We have to get the staff that we need first before we start looking elsewhere. So that's where I'm coming from with this budget. Like I said, we may not all agree with how to get there, but I know we all want to get to the same place. And I know that there's going to be a lot of tough decisions we're going to have to make, but for the betterment of the district.
Understood.
So
Yep.
that's all I got for now.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure I'll get something else after.
It's all right.
I'm all set for right now.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you and your team for everything they did preparing the information. Just echoing what Mr. Whitridge has said. Every year we come back, and in some years we have, monumental lists of urgent needs. Some years it's just maintaining what we have. We have good budget years, we have bad budget years. And I think what we're consistently doing, as Tom said, is we're protecting the investments we made, but we're also recognizing where our future needs are coming and trying to get ahead of them.
Yes.
Best bang for the buck. Like, just even like looking at this, my eye keeps going back to the student population numbers, and just the growth over 5 years is
Crazy.
yeah. I'm just looking at the ELL number
Yeah.
and the services that are needed for that.
Well, when we did the building
Yeah.
project, we were kind of
Right.
informed that that was probably going to be, I mean, I don't think they necessarily saw what would happen
Right.
specifically, but they did say there could be a, growth in population
Sure.
for
Yeah.
students.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure I'll have more questions as the meeting goes on, but just thank you.
I completely agree with the budget. I don't have any real problem with it. I wouldn't even think of taking any money away from the teachers. And as far as, I agree with Tommy about 10, 15 years ago, but 10, 15 years ago, we were in completely different times. And since I've got on this panel, I have read so much about public education, and I've really tried to educate myself because I'm not in education, so I try to educate myself. And if we're trying to teach these kids to be fluent in reading, and they're coming in kindergarten and they don't even know letters. So the teachers and the staff are up against a huge, 15 years ago, this was completely different. And we can say all we want, and, Saugus, I don't like when people say that Saugus is not, where the school committee gets all the money they want, but they're not using it the right way. Well, in what sense are we not using it the right way? Because we need all of this and actually more. The root cause of teacher retention is that some of them don't have classroom control because, again, 10, 15 years ago, you didn't have a kid taking the chair and throwing it across the room. So it's really hard there's so many levels of this budget that, I mean, this could be 25 pages long in order for the school system to run efficiently. I know this isn't directly related to the budget, but do we ask kids why they're, leaving Saugus? Do we ask teachers why they're leaving Saugus? Do we make sure that, I read these tiers that we need to have retention of teachers, retention of this, retention of that? Well, are we listening to them? Are we interviewing them? Are we hearing them on a daily basis? As far as this budget, I don't really have an issue. The only thing I'd like to see is, because I took 3.5 hours the other night and went line by line, I'd like to see the crossing guards who get up and it's below zero. I'd love to see them make a couple dollars more because they keep our kids safe.
Let me just have, Mike,
Yeah.
is the crossing guards are not in the union, they're just the.
They're non-unit.
They're non-unit, okay.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I know it's not related, but going line by line, I just realized from 2023 that they haven't gotten a raise. As far as, I mean, I'm like the rest of the panel says, I'll have some other questions going down the line, but I've gone line by line, and there's really there's nothing to take away. There's, if anything, there's just more to add, and I would like to see some more school safety. However we're gonna come about doing it, I don't know, but figure out some school safety in the schools. And that's all I have for now.
I did have one question.
Sure.
Why is district-wide, why is professional development, PD, going up 30,000?
Because it went down in prior years because we paid for it out of the ESSER grant.
Okay, yeah, okay. I see that, I was just.
Yep, that's the rationale is, we tried to use that funding as best we could. while we had it, so we did try to be fiscally responsible and use it there. Now that that is gone, we're still gonna need professional development. The one thing I can say about the curriculum materials, because they're in there and they're more, this is more real with the curriculum materials. I said it at an admin meeting today. In the past, the curriculum resources, traditional textbooks, they were purchased in a cycle, or, like you said, we had trouble getting funding, so we went years without them. So with the textbooks, they became these, all of a sudden, really big years, and there were hills and valleys. Now, with the new way of providing instructional resources, there are consumable elements and there are online elements, so it's more of an annual, or more of a fixed cost going forward, where there shouldn't be those big spikes where every math book has to be replaced. So right now, consumables have to be replaced, online licensing has to be continued, but there is more of a consistent, fiscal dollar sense every year.
Yeah, the only other thing I would like to suggest, I'd like to do once we get our budget back, is to sit down again and just make sure that we did our due diligence as far as, can we move X to Y, can we move Y to Z, once we get it back, because three things I don't, most important thing I don't want to happen is that we get the budget back and we say, oh no, we need this much,
Yep.
and now we're looking at taking staff and down.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that we exhaust all our resources to see what our current funding is, to see what we can do with it.
Yeah, right now, this is my
Correct.
proposed budget, and you're really doing a bottom line at that point. If there's things that need to be worked around, that's something, because once you approve it, it becomes the school budget, the school, and then it goes to, like you said, FinCom, and then ultimately town meeting for their approval or rejection. So those type of tweaks get made all the time. So that's why there are so many iterations of the budget. So what you'll see is, it'll go from my proposed budget to the school adopted budget, and then it goes to FinCom and town meeting, and there's revisions, because depending on where the funding is, we have to move pieces around to see what we have, then we ultimately have to make different prioritizations.
Okay, and the last thing,
Sorry.
and I apologize, keep thinking.
No, it's
about
all
this.
right.
How many FTEs did we pull out of grants in that are now into the LEA?
How many additional?
Yeah, I just wondering, how about this? It's even easier.
Yep.
How many FTEs do we have on grants right now?
I'm not 100%, do we know?
It says two we're asking for. on the front page.
We're bringing two out
It's in the
of,
staffing report.
where are we at?
Oh, see that? Didn't it say two over there?
Yeah.
On the front page, you saw?
But do we,
Oh, okay, I
You
got it. Yeah,
Okay, sorry, my bad.
all right,
this question, how many?
Thank you.
Thank you,
thank you.
good catch.
So, so no more questions from us, so I would move to public
Mr.
comment.
Chairman?
Yep,
I just want to make a note, because of past prior years, and I want to thank, as I look in the audience here, sitting here, there are, looks like, at least 3, maybe 4 town meeting members that are sitting here. And I really want to take the opportunity to thank them for attending and being a part of our budget process, because in years past, we've had criticisms where we weren't transparent about that, but yet I see 3 dedicated town meeting members, maybe 4 here, and I just appreciate them being here for this.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, Mr. Woodridge.
I just want to say, first, you did a good job with the budget this year. I know there could be a million other things that we need, because let's face it, the high school needs more bodies, middle school needs more bodies. Everywhere we go, we need more bodies, and I think you did a pretty good job of, I know it's a big ask, 2.4 million, but you did a really good job of getting what we critically need for, to take the next step.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of, like, if I added a few more positions, it still wouldn't be a wish list.
Right.
But I'm a reasonable person, I don't wanna, I don't want it to come off like we're, just wanna spend money. I agree with you we could use as many bodies as we could get, in theory, but I just tried to prioritize, and I worked with the principal of the complex. She has a, like, 3 to 5 year plan to phase in, and when we sat down, she said, this is what I need year one. If I could get more, sure, if I don't, we'll make do, we'll go here, and then we'll go from there. So don't be surprised, we probably will need additional bodies moving forward, because it's an ever-changing, landscape. I mean, if the population goes up by another 200 students, then we're literally bursting at the seams, and we definitely need more bodies as well. So I just throwing that out there, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's good that we have Dr. Scazzarella on board, because she, in a very short time, she has a vision that we all have, which is, pretty impressive to me, so, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Scazzarella. Thank you. We appreciate it. So we'll move on to public comment, just name and address and your question.
Carrie Hogan, Maple Street. Just a couple quick questions on the budget here. Of the total cost that's required to support the explosion of ELL requirements, of that funding, how much of that is grant supported, if any?
Right now,
Right now, this year, FY '25, we have 2 staff ELL teachers out of an emergency assistant grant, but that was a one-time, it hasn't come back.
Okay, so the total from what I'm looking at is roughly about $966,000, the cost of ELL, the increase in total. So of that, only around 200 is grant funded.
what page you on, Carrie?
I just totaled all of it.
Oh,
All the ELL teachers?
All
All
ELL
the
costs.
all the ELL costs and teachers that are in this budget book are part of the LEA. None of what's in here is coming out of the grant.
Okay,
That,
right.
and
None of-
the emergency assistance grant that we got this year, that we had 2 ELL teachers in, is not been made available for
Okay.
FY '26.
Okay. I'm just, from what I'm seeing, it's a huge impact on our district, a huge impact. For the vets in Belmonte especially, from 113 increase requested, 65,000 of that is specifically for ELL. Belmonte, of the 262,000 requested, 97,000 is specifically for ELL. I think that is a huge concern.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Ms. Andrews will explain.
Sure.
I don't mind standing next to you.
Could do a number.
So those are the 2 positions that have come out of the grant?
Correct.
So that's what those are. Okay. We have a grant, one grant for $125,000. That's the emergency grant.
Correct.
Is that it? And we have a little bit of a carryover from last year. And we have, that's it.
Yeah. No, and I
That
know
was
what you're
the
saying.
crisis grant.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and it's not gonna go down.
I'm aware, but I think that the community as a whole needs to be very aware of this. And I think it's very easy to overlook it. And I think it needs to be called out. It needs to be made aware, especially since this cost is not coming from the state. It's coming from the town of Saugus.
absolutely.
And that's a huge concern for me.
Yeah, since 2020, Carrie, we're up to 500, from 145 to
Massachusetts.
596.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem.
The cost of ELL is double the athletic cost. You wonder why we can't get students to participate in sports. The real reality is, it's way too expensive. I was a student athlete my whole life, and when I went to school, I didn't have to pay. Parents are having to come out of pocket so much just to participate in sports, and it's not easy to sign up. it's very, the way everything is run is a deterrent. So, I really want the people of the town to be aware of this huge, massive influx in costs. And then additionally, I just wanted some clarification on a couple items. I don't understand what they are. The compliance officer, can you elaborate what that position is?
Title IX.
Title IX.
We need a compliance officer for Title IX.
But what is,
So what they do in investigations, stuff like that. So they monitor the schools, they monitor athletics, and
Okay.
make sure we're in compliance with Title IX.
oh, I see, okay, gotcha. And then, security monitors? Is that cameras?
Engagement office,
Engagement officer.
Engagement officers.
yeah.
Okay. And my main concern here in this whole big budget, millions and millions of dollars, district-wide, school security, a single $1,000? So what is that, if you could clarify, because I, as a parent, would like to know.
If you could just point out the page. and then
I
you
think
can
it's
share.
the end on the district-wide, non-instructional, I think.
School security, page 15. 11 and 15.
Supplies, that's a program.
Security monitors, right here.
The
Salaries,
monitors are here.
benefits, Yep.
These are the supplies.
So what is the security monitors?
Security monitors are the engagement
The
officers.
engagement officers, and that's 3 officers?
Yes.
3 of
Yes.
them? Okay.
Well, there's 3 total
How many is it now?
FTE.
Okay.
So it's 3 FTE equivalent, but they're part-time people.
Part-time security monitors, and these are at all of the schools?
I'm sorry.
Are these security monitors at all of our schools?
Middle high school.
Middle
The
high
high
school.
Just
school,
at
the
the
middle
middle high
school.
school?
Yep.
Okay, so school security, that's just one, but then if you come here to buildings and grounds, you'll also see repairs and maintenance alarms. Okay, security alarms,
Mhm.
okay, that's additional security.
Oh,
But
that's
what-
a
But
seller?
also, as Mr. Serena was saying, the town of Saugus provides other enhancements to the school department, and one of them is cup sync, Code Blue. So that's under software, and it's in
Yeah.
conjunction with the police department,
Okay.
okay? So they're in different buckets.
Mhm. Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Code
so
Blue.
then.
Code Blue.
My whole point in this is that, yet again, for another year, we don't see anything focused on security, no student resource officer, no police department, no nothing. Yet again, we're talking about the population of our students exploding, a lot of which, we don't know a lot about. And there's danger happening all around us. Look at Revere right now. They're considering hiring private security on top of the 4 SROs they have to deal with their school. And we're not unique. Our locking doors are not unique. And I beg this committee and this town to start taking the safety of our students seriously, especially when we can spend close to $1 million on ELL. Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank Federico, 7 Kirkland Street, Precinct 7. So outside of staffing grants such as ELL, are we chasing down grants that are available for, say, technology or different, like, I'm not familiar with this, so this is like just
Yes.
genuine curiosity?
So
Or-
Sue will tell you, we chase down every grant, whether it's security, whether it's technology, whether it's student resources, because we wouldn't survive without grants.
What about other than like state or federal grants such as charitable organizations, maybe like backpacks for homeless students, things of that nature? Are we looking outside of, so I know there's some organizations that, for the homeless population or children who may not be able to afford backpacks for school
We
or
did-
educational supplies.
Sorry. We did get a grant at the complex, and with the money they used, they purchased or got, I'm not sure how, I don't want to say purchased, but there's all kinds of winter clothing, backpacks and the like. So there's a, I don't know how you would describe it, Dr. Scazzarella, how would you describe, a whole closet full of,
Care closet,
care closet, thank you, sorry, my bad.
a big room
Yes,
to support our students in need.
That's great to hear.
Yep.
Just to reiterate, you know, I've been a huge proponent of the SRO. It's something, if it comes through town meeting, I would like to see that in the budget. I know it's not solely the responsibility of the school committee. I think the school committee needs to work with the town and vice versa. So I do hope that's something that, you know, is in the pipeline. I know I've spoken to Vinny, and he is working diligently to
So
try to
we
get
do,
that
we
in
do
there.
talk to the police chief, and we do.
Yeah.
So we are looking to see if there's grants, more grants available for something like that, so.
Definitely.
We'll continue to do that. I mean, I think, like I always said, there's wants and needs, and we have to decide which is which.
That's fair. And then the other question I had, as far as contracts with like, so in my mind, if you can save $1,000 here, $1,000 here, that will add up to 10, 20, 100,000. When was the last time we negotiated simple contracts such as school supplies? Do we use like WB Mason, Staples? Yeah, no, that's fine.
So we follow chapter 30B, and for school supplies, we buy from combis, from vendors who have already negotiated prices.
Okay, fair enough.
So things like that. We put other items out to bid, transportation, landscaping, cleaning, those things go out to bid because they're big contracts. The smaller individual purchases, we really stick to buying from purchasing cooperatives. So that would be combis, MHEC, which we're allowed to buy with, Mass Higher Ed Consortium. There's a consortium in Pennsylvania, there's one in Texas. We always purchase through these cooperative agreements.
Okay.
Yeah, we negotiate energy, we negotiate our gas and energy costs and put those out, so everything's negotiated.
Yes, the town does that.
And then, this is more of a statement than anything and like a concern of mine. I'm really not sure how to address it, but my godson going through the schools, one of the big things that I notice, especially at the vets, is they have some pretty big fundraisers. And a lot of parents in PTO, which the PTO is remarkable at the vets, I give them the utmost credit, is they're actually providing a lot of supplies for teachers. So I know it's money, everything comes down to dollars and cents. So one thing that I'd ask the school committee to look for, that I'd be looking for in the budget when we vote on it, is let's try to get that burden off the parents to buy crayons, to buy Kleenex, things of that
So
nature.
just to cut you off, so last year, what we did is we asked every school, give us what you need for supplies, and we bought all those supplies. So I would just say again, is the parents need to talk to the principal and let them know. Because what we did last year is we bought everything that was asked for.
All right, I
So-
mean, if that's the case, I think that should also, apparently there's a disconnect between, you know, that policy or that offer from you guys and the parents, because the parents are thinking that we have to provide all this, or we're doing, I mean, that, it's great that they're doing it, but, you know, they're thinking that they have to go in and buy crayons, buy Kleenex, and buy reams of paper.
We made a push to get rid of those back-to-school needs, and we asked the principals, like, what do you need to, you know, what kind of notebooks, get them, what kind of binders, whatever, you know, the typical, because I had 3 kids going through the school
What we
system.
can do is we can put out an email to parents, say, get your needs to the principal.
Well, the other big thing too, actually, that comes to mind, because I actually picked it up at Gray's Appliance, was at the vets, the fridge actually died this year, and the teachers didn't have a fridge for their lunch break to keep their lunches cold in. And to my understanding, the PTO actually went out and got a donation of a fridge for the school. So that's another area that,
Yeah, we accepted donation. I think it was from Lowe's.
Gray's
Gray's.
Appliance.
Sorry,
Was it?
yeah.
Yeah, but, it's just things, I mean, the teachers, they have a tough time, like, there's no, so anything we can do to make it easier for them is, it's necessary at this point, you know? I mean, the teachers have the short end of the stick, and that's,
Thank you for being supportive.
no, definitely, I mean,
No, no,
I just want to
absolutely,
make
yeah.
sure, I mean, I know the board's well aware, and I know there's some town meeting members here, and, you know, there's 3 or 4 of us here, but there's also 46 that aren't here.
Right,
And they may not be seeing this conversation, so.
Understood.
When it comes to, you know, the teachers, I'd like town meeting to hopefully be extremely supportive of them.
And I can speak for everybody in the school system, we really appreciate that,
Definitely.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? I want to thank you guys for your public comment. I mean, we appreciate it, we appreciate the feedback. A lot of times, we don't know, right? So when we hear from, you know, parents and godparents and people who are in the know, we do appreciate it, so. I don't know what, we're moving on to new business
So,
next.
Mr. Chair, do we need to vote the?
Oh, yeah,
I'll make a motion that the school committee adopt the superintendent's proposed budget for FY '26 in the amount of, I'm gonna get it right this time, $36,242,973.
Chair seconds, can we do a roll?
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Hatch?
Yes.
Mrs. Mastrocola?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
And Mr. Serena?
Yes. Now we can move on to the submission of the SEAM Collaborative Annual 23-24 Annual Report.
Yeah,
For information
Mr.
purposes.
Chair, yeah, I gave you a
Yeah, I got the
copy of
SEAM
each of the
Collaborative.
SEAM and the Shore Collaborative reports. That's a responsibility I have to give you that information. It's also in the shared drive. If you
Okay.
would each like a hard copy, the one's like 80 pages long.
It's in the drive, though.
It's
Yeah.
in the drive, so I wanted to share it with you. I can gladly have them printed out if you want, but I supplied one up there if you want to look it over.
80 pages?
One of them's 80 pages.
Let's stay school supplies.
So I just have to submit them to you from those two organizations.
Perfect. So we've got the submission of the Shore Collaborative Annual 23-24 Annual Report for information purposes. Next, we're going to move on to the approval of bills dated January 23rd, 2000. Wait a minute.
That's a typo.
Yeah,
So for the record,
where's the typo?
it's
It's in the future.
it's the 16th.
Oh, my bad.
So, just for the record, it is approval of bills dated January 16th, 2025, in the amount of $1,552,534.19.
Motion to approve.
Chair seconds, can we do a roll?
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Hatch?
Yes.
Mrs. Mastrocola?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Serena?
Yes. Approval of school committee meetings for December 19th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Chair seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, I wasn't there, so,
Okay.
just so you know.
One abstain.
Approval of school committee meetings.
Yes, I
Wait a minute,
abstain.
wait a minute. Approval of school committee meeting minutes for December 19th,
Executive session.
executive session, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Chair seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Approval of school committee meeting minutes for January 8th, 2025, open session.
Motion to approve.
Chair seconds, all in favor?
I abstain.
Where have you been? Approval of school committee meeting minutes for January 8th, 2025, executive.
Motion to approve.
Chair seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Approval of school committee meeting minutes for January 9th. I know you were there. Open session.
Motion to approve.
Chair seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving to my favorite thing, donations, right? We love the people of Saugus, we love the people who help us out. and they've been really great. So we've got the approval of a $1,000 donation from the Saugus band parents to cover the cost of transportation.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Chair seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Approval of, what did we just talk, ELLs?
Yeah, an
800,000?
ELL educational support.
Well, we
grant.
got a grant for 8,000.
Prices are coming down.
Approval ELL educational support grant of 8,000.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Chair seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we'll recess to executive session for the purpose of negotiations, not to return to open session.
Motion to approve.
Chair seconds, can we do a roll?
Yes. Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Hatch?
Yes.
Mrs. Mastrocola?
Yes.
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.